Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm back again with another stupid COVID-19 video because for some reason it's still ongoing. And I'm going to talk about just pure facts from the CDC. I'm just going to go through the data that's available to every single American, every single person on the planet really with the internet. This is CDC data. It's for the U.S. I'm not familiar with all the intricacies of every country's data, but I'm pretty familiar with the intricacies of the U.S. data because, the CDC's actually been pretty transparent with the meaning of all of this data, and they've actually got pretty decent data on their websites. They got a lot of pages about COVID-19. They got a lot of graphs and charts. It's all very descriptive. Some of it's a little harder to follow. I'm going to get into that. And we're just going to dissect the data and see what it really means. Is there actually a real threat? Is this a big deal? Should we still be panicking? Should, like, everybody on the damn street be wearing masks these days? Or should we all start acting like actual grown-ass adults and stop hiding our face and running around like antisocial jerks who can't make eye contact or show their faces anymore? So let's get into the data. Here we are. This is the COVID Weekly CDC page here. This is easy to find. Just do look for CDC weekly updates and that kind of thing. It's got some great data here. They update this every week, a few days after into the week. And it's got some pretty compelling information here that really kind of paints a picture pretty damn quickly that this is over. This is over, and it's been over, and it was actually never that big of a threat in the first place. So some of you are probably already like, oh, what? He's not taking it seriously. Oh, he made fun of masks. Yeah, because you're all insane. The data clearly shows everybody's overreacting. The media is never going to stop hyping this, regardless of the facts. You've all been fooled. Most of you willingly have been fooled. Some of you seem to enjoy wearing the mask as a fashion statement, have nothing to do with safety or protection or health. It's either a fashion statement or some sort of virtue signal, which is also a form of fashion statement, really, about what a coward you are and how completely out of touch with reality you are and how big of a conformist you are with any insane sort of, rage bait the damn media throws out there for you. Y'all just gobble it up. Bunch of mindless, faceless automatons. So yeah, here's the data. Here's the data right here. This is the peak for this whole thing. 2 months ago. It's exactly 2 months ago today. This is June 18th. I'm looking at this data today. And yeah, here's April 18th. This was the peak. And actually, look at these numbers. They're really not that big. I mean, they seem big, but I'm going to dissect that a little further into it. But even on the face of it, even the raw numbers, which I'm going to get into in a second what they actually mean, it's not that terrifying, okay? These numbers are less than the peak of the flu. So, cool your jets, people. Stop freaking out. Grow up. And here's today. This is a few days ago. June 13th. Look at the numbers, okay? If you're under 65, these numbers are not even over 100, okay? 100 people out of the whole population of the country. If you're worried that 100 people out of 320 million, one of them's going to be you are a dipshit. Grow up. Stop being a fucking pussy. Just look at some of the numbers. Look at the during the peak as well. Look at the numbers. I mean, look at the way they're skewed towards the elderly. They're all old. I'm not saying who gives a shit about the old, fuck them. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, old people die. Every year we lose people who are older. The older you are, the less likely you're going to make it. Any year, regardless of what's going on. Even from old age, you can die. I mean, nobody lives forever. I mean, is anyone under the delusion that we're all going to live forever? Very few people make it over 100. You don't live in fear because life is unpredictable and because one day it will end. That's all the more reason why you should actually get out there and live your lives while you can. It's limited. It's precious. Embrace it. Embrace life. Get out there. Get in the sunshine. Meet people. Make friends. Have sex. Do all that sort of stuff. Get a job. Stop being a pussy. Okay, so we'll get into some of the other things that are really compelling and informative here. Comorbidities. This is a huge one. These are the numbers that they're tracking for this code, U07.1. We're going to talk about this code in a second as well. And this is the total number they're showing. I don't know why it's 99,000 instead of 120,000 like most sites are showing, but it probably has something to do with the double reporting that's been reported on a lot of sites. Apparently 20,000 double counts of people who've been counted more than once. and been counted for multiple causes, of course, but that's not unusual. As we'll see here, most people are counted for multiple causes. So this here is a breakdown of comorbidity, okay? These are other factors that led to their death, and it's not exactly clear necessarily which one is causing the death, but it says flat out right here that these are not caused by coronavirus. It says deaths involving coronavirus. People need to learn how to read in conjunction with. Okay, here's some of the keywords that you'll often see when it's talking about these codes and this number, these big numbers, the U.S. number. You'll see the words with, or you'll see the words involving, or you'll see with. So they'll say deaths with COVID-19, not from COVID-19. These are important differences. They'll also say deaths involving coronavirus, not deaths caused by coronavirus. The CDC is actually very, very specific. And see, it even talks about causes here. For 7% of the deaths, COVID-19 was the only cause mentioned. That still doesn't even say that it is caused by COVID-19, but we'll give them 7% because that's the number they're listing here as possible, most likely cause. Okay, but there's still more to dissect into these numbers besides this alone. So not only do we have to keep in mind it's talking about involving, but we scroll down here and see what this code means. This code here, UO 7.1. This is one of two codes that they originally introduced to classify deaths for COVID-19. And originally, let's see, I got several articles open here. Originally, this code was supposed to be for, this is on the World Health Organization website, they're talking about the CDC codes, or they're talking about these ICD codes, ICD-10 codes. This is a way of codifying causes of death and reporting on it so that people can have accurate stats and facts. It says to use this code, 7.1, for COVID-19, for viruses identified, is assigned to disease diagnosis of COVID-19 confirmed by laboratory testing. So, originally when this was introduced, it was supposed to be for confirmed only. And there was a second code, U7.2, which is for diagnosis where laboratory confirmation is inconclusive or not available. So this is the one that was for presumed. This is the way it was for, I think, most of March. But then around April, sometime before the beginning of April, they changed it. And there's a lot of information about that. This has been revised recently. I don't know what the original published date was. But there's several articles. Is the new code a secondary code? Should be, okay. Okay, that's not making it clear. There's even clearer ones. Here's one. When COVID-19 is reported as a cause of death, or when it is listed as probable or presumed cause, the death coded as 7.1. So now, let's see. Where's this from? This is from CDC, and I have another article here which pins it down even further. But they're flat out saying that this code 7.1 is for probable or presumed. It wasn't originally like that. They changed it, though. And there's documents in here somewhere. Here's an April 1st document talking about the codes. I have an even clearer one. I had it open a second ago. Where is it? I got too many of these pages open. Okay, this was when I was reading. So originally, like I said, we've established that 7.1 was originally for confirmed only, and that 7.2 is for probable or, inconclusive. But yeah, I literally had it open a second ago. I thought it was this document right here, but I must have scrolled around. All right, well, crud. Okay, that's the World Health Organization one again. Here's this one. What is this? Just going to look for 7.1. As of April 1st, the index lists 7.1 in a new chapter, codes for special purposes. Let's check a look at that. Provisional assignment of new diseases. Here we go. However, if clinical validity of the diagnosis seems questionable from the clinical indicators follow at the beginning, a month ago, the patient would get a preliminary test and it would be repeated for confirmation. Presumptive, whereas in the CDC renders it confirmed. Presumptive is not an uncertain diagnosis qualifier. It sounds pretty uncertain. They've also called it probable on many documents now. Uncertain diagnoses. Ooh, what's this one? Here's where it's not identified. See, they don't even track this one anymore. The problem is that all of the codings were coming up with 7.2 for like most of March, and this number was extremely low because they needed tests confirmed, and the tests just weren't enough people who were testing positive for this. So they started lumping all the numbers into 7.1, which is clearly told to us now in all these documents. Here's one: deaths with confirmed or presumed. 7.1. Let's see. We have been told has approved an emergency code. Only new code implemented. The only new code being implemented in the U.S. for COVID-19 is... Oh, that's weird. Why would... So they just lump it all into 7.1 is what they're saying. No, the code is not retroactive. Okay. So they've been only using the one code is what this is saying. How it works. Okay. So basically it is saying that probable or presumed cause is being lumped into the 7.1. The death is coded as 7.1. This can include cases with or without laboratory confirmation. Bam. This is from the CDC. This is explaining that number, how it works, what the numbers mean. Boom. This can include cases with or without laboratory confirmation. I guess I've not clearly illustrated, well, that the CDC was ever tracking the 7.2. Maybe they weren't. But it was being tracked worldwide. World Health Organization was putting it out. And they also said don't use this 7.1 code for cases that aren't confirmed. But the CDC is clearly doing that. So I think I've made the case there. According to the CDC's own documents, they are using this code 7.1 for confirmed or presumed cases. So not only are these deaths right here, this 99,000 that is listed, not only are these cases of presumed to be with or involving coronavirus, not the cause, but they're not even confirmed. So this is a number that represents unconfirmed cases possibly or probably involving COVID-19, not causes, not test confirmed. It's a huge difference. And the problem is, since April, when they started conflating all these numbers into one big category, we don't know. We have no way of knowing what the number actually is for the actual test confirmed. Most hospitals stopped doing the tests altogether because here's the problem. They, like I covered in another video, they get paid $13,000 from the government per case, whether it's presumptive or confirmed. If they presume it, they get paid $13,000. If they test it and find out it doesn't involve COVID-19, they don't get $13,000. So why the hell would they test it? If you have to report it under the same code one way or the other, and if you get paid $13,000, whether it's confirmed or not, and you don't know for sure if it's going to be confirmed, you're just going to presume. The incentive is on presuming, which is why if you actually look at some of the state numbers, like I looked up Texas's numbers, they have not had a single test confirmed case of COVID-19 death in 2 months. Over 2 months. Not a single one. Not one. And that's not to say necessarily that there aren't any, but the incentive is for them to not test at this point. So why would they? And it's really hard to find the numbers. And they swing drastically between states because, well, first of all, they're lumping them all in to the same code. So, and the incentive is for them to not do it. So good luck finding clearly which ones are presumed and which ones are confirmed, because not even the CDC could do it at this point. So we have to just go with looking at the deaths and the causes of death. If we see things like cardiac arrest, which is present in 13,000 of these cases, we can pretty safely assume that the heart attack might have actually been what killed them, not COVID-19. Or if we see something like heart failure, which is present in 6,000 of these cases, we can pretty safely assume that their heart failing is what killed them, not COVID-19. or when we see this kind of stuff, which is, I guess, strokes or brain aneurysms and stuff like that, which is present in 4,500 cases, we can pretty safely assume, once again, that it was not the COVID-19 that killed them. It was probably the brain disease, the brain hemorrhage or whatever. Let's see. Here's one. This is probably cancer, I would assume. Malignant neoplasms. Over 4,000 cases of that. Generally when you have cancer, that is a little bit more deadly than corona cold. Here's one, diabetes. This is a massive cofactor in a shitload of deaths every year. It's super deadly. It's very bad for you. It causes a lot of problems, causes all sorts of problems with your arteries and all sorts of stuff. Heart attacks, more heart problems. It's very dangerous. It's very unhealthy. It lasts a long time, though. People have it for years. It's not a sudden new thing. And these 14,000 people, I think, far more likely belong to be classified as being deaths caused by diabetes than COVID-19. Here's another one, Alzheimer's disease. Here's one, kidney failure. These are pretty important things. Now, at one point, they were trying to claim that COVID-19 caused kidney failure. It doesn't. That was bullshit. I've looked at a whole bunch of the articles. There was never any proof. There was no connection. There was no logic. None of it made sense. It was not in all cases. It's in 8,000 cases, but maybe that's because these are all assumed to involve COVID-19 and have absolutely nothing to do with it. In matter of fact, here's a bunch of things lumped into one: accidental injuries, intentional injuries, poisoning, and other adverse effects. What does this involve? I bet you one of these is deliberate stabbing murders, and 2,000 of them are COVID-19 cases. So if you probably get stabbed, or you impale yourself, or you have a car accident, or eat some bad chili and die, you got COVID-19. You're a COVID-19 statistic now. I'm not trying to make light of this. It's unfortunate that some people do die, but some people do die every year. What I'm trying to make light of is people's stupidity, just absolute stupidity, and freaking out about what is statistically insignificant numbers. So I'm going to actually break down how insanely statistically insignificant these are. I'm just going through talking about how many different causes of death are far more likely to have been the cause of death in these COVID-19 cases than COVID-19. So let's see. Here's some that more honestly might be accidentally lumped together. Influenza. This is the one that I actually thought would be the main statistical misclassification when this began. When 2 years ago, a high incidence of flu was about 80,000, and I figured maximum this wouldn't go over 80,000. It did, but I totally underestimated how fraudulently they would misclassify these deaths, because not only are they lumping in influenza, which is 41,000 of these, but they are lumping in heart attacks, car accidents, cancer, brain hemorrhage, all sorts of stuff that is not caused by COVID-19 and kills far more people every year. So here's the numbers for causes of death every year. Look at some of these numbers. Look at some of these culprits here. That looks familiar. Heart disease. What do you know? It kills over 6 times more people a year than the COVID-19. So you could easily hide a small fraction of these as COVID-19 deaths, and no one would be the wiser. Here's one, cancer, 600,000. Yeah, that kills a lot more people. Were we all panicking and freaking out? Were we were defunding subsidies for sugar and wheat and corn? No, we didn't. We didn't do any of those things when this killed 6 times more people every single fucking year for the last 30 years. We didn't do any of that stuff. So why are we closing the entire economy for something that kills a fraction of this, supposedly, which we've just proven it doesn't? It kills 1,000th of this. And we still subsidize the main food additives that are linked to cancer, which is high fructose foods and high sugar foods. Corn, wheat, and soy. I mean, not soy. Corn, wheat, and sugar. We subsidize these every year. We give billions of dollars to these industries so that we can make sure to have these ingredients in all of our foods way cheaper than they otherwise would cost. So they're in everything. And this is what you get. You get heart disease at 600,000. You get cancer at 600,000. These are both heavily caused by sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and every fucking thing you eat. Diabetes is caused by this. Stroke, one of the causes could be related to that as well. And yet we subsidize those. No one did shit to stop that. We're helping it happen. But meanwhile, when something kills apparently 6,000, we shut down our whole way of life, and everybody runs around like antisocial goons wearing masks all the time. Let's see. Chronic lower respiratory disease, 160,000. So this is from 2017. This is almost double the number of deaths we're seeing from supposedly COVID-19, but now we know that's bullshit. Here's stroke. That's also much bigger. Alzheimer's disease, much bigger. Diabetes, a little lower than the main number. And here is influenza. I've actually seen this averaging around 60,000 and 80,000 at the high recently, but they've got it lower here. Let's see. I don't know what that is. And suicides. Here's another one that's disturbing to look out for. So it was already almost 50,000, which is pretty significant for suicide, in my opinion. But there's a strong correlation between the suicide rate and the unemployment rate. They notice for every 1% suicides go up a certain amount, and we just lost almost a quarter of our economy to unemployment now because all the businesses have gone out of business. What do you think that's going to do to the suicide rate? I guarantee you it will be well over this number. This number is going to be small in comparison, most likely, to the suicide rate, because not only are people terrified unnecessarily, not only have people lost their jobs, which is serious, not only have tons of people lost their businesses, people are being isolated from their friends, their family, and that's serious. People are drinking at home alone because none of the social places where they might have otherwise gone to hang out are open. And, people are just handling this in many unhealthy ways, self-destructive ways, self-harming ways. And it's a shame. That number is going to be far more than this. And this number is fake. So let's get more into how this number is fake. So we've already talked about how that number is for cases involving coronavirus. And also it's presumed count. So let's see what the CDC says about how many of them are probably actual causes. 7% of the deaths where it's the only cause mentioned. Now I'm going to disregard anything that has a more deadly cause of death, like heart failure. Because if you have a heart failure, clearly that's the cause of death. And heart failures are already really high every year. It's not related to COVID-19. I bet they're not even higher than normal. But I don't have that data in front of me. But, since they're misclassifying so many things as COVID-19, I would imagine that the normal causes of some of these deaths are going to be a little lower. But they can have more than one cause of death that's counted. So they might not be much lower than normal, but they might be lower. Anyway, that's not the data I have in front of me at the moment, so I'm not going to get into that. But I will go with the CDC's number here. 7% of these deaths. So we've got 99,000. Let's pop up a calculator and do some quick math. 99,000. First, we're going to start, 99,000, and we're going to multiply it by 0.07. That's 7%. So here we are. Look at this number. This is still presumed numbers, but this is numbers without a cause of another cause of death. Now, I could have sworn they actually had a cause of death on here for 85 plus before, but when I looked at it, they had it listed for a bunch of people that were under 85. I guess they got rid of it because it clearly was an error, but they fixed it. But yeah, they actually for some reason had over 85 as a contributing cause for people who were not 85. So that was clearly an error. They got rid of it. But anyway, here we are. So we're looking at 7,000. We're looking at 7,000 people dying out of about 320 million people in the U.S. That is million. And we get this number right here. And whenever you do percents, you got to take two of the zeros out. So here is our number for how likely you are to have died from this during the entirety of this whole epidemic. This pandemic. Everyone panic, everybody. Panic, panic, panic. You have a 0.002% chance to die. And that's including people who are over 85. So if you just disregard some of these numbers at the high end, like if you're not even close to 85, let's say you're 30. Let's go if you're 30 and under. We'll just do that. Let's see. We've got about 150. We got about 700, and we got about 1,700. Let's just add these up. I'm just gonna put 700, and I'm going to put 1,700. And so let's see. That's the total number of people involving, but we want to get the actual number for the percent that don't have other causes of death associated with them. Did I do that right? Yeah. Boom. 180 people divided by. Well, we'd actually have to divide by the number of people under 30. I don't know the exact number for that, but I'm going to guess. I'm just going to guess wildly at about 70%. So we're going to do 320 times 0.7, and then we're going to times a million, and we're going to put our 178 back over here. And we're going to get this number, which is pretty damn tiny. So this is approximating the chance you have to die from COVID-19 during the entirety of this whole pandemic if you're under 30. This could be off based on my estimation of how many people are under 30 in the U.S. It's probably way off. It's probably even lower, though. So it's pretty damn tiny. I mean, when you're getting to the point where you almost don't have enough precision on your calculator to determine probabilities this frickin' low, I think it's safe to say we don't need to panic. Here we are. So this is the deaths today, though. So that was for the entirety of this whole thing. But now we're looking at a level of this, which, again, this still involves presumed numbers, presumed involvement. That's not confirmed causes. Presumed involvement. Understand these numbers and what they mean. We don't even know what the confirmed numbers are anymore. The CDC has gone out of their way to make sure that number is completely obscured and unknown. So we don't know what it is, but we do know that this is pretty fucking low. That's what we know. Look at this. These are low numbers. Let's do some quick estimation here. What is the total on this? We got about 34. We got about 84. We got about 160. We got about 300. We got about 460. I'm going to go with 460, roughly. And let's see. So 460, I'm going to put the calculator back in the window. 460 divided by 320 million Americans. And we have another fucking tiny number. This is the chance that you will die from this, including people who are 85. Oh, and this is the total. I forgot to say this is the total of presumed involvement. So if we want to get the number that's not other causes, we still have to multiply by 0.07, and we get an even tinier fucking number. So damn tiny that I mean, what do you do with this? How are people panicking over this number right now? They just obviously not looked at the stats, or they just don't understand probabilities. If you ever have a bet that is this, okay, let's reverse this. So this is let's take 100, and we're going to subtract the chances that you will die. So you have a 99.99999% chance to survive this week from COVID-19. It's probably not going to get you. If you're ever taking a bet where your odds of success are 99.99999, you know what? That's a pretty safe bet. You know, you probably don't need to worry about that mask. You can probably leave that at home, especially since the fucking masks that everybody is wearing are worthless. People are wearing cloth masks. Most of the people I see wearing masks are wearing cloth masks. These things do not stop the virus. It's like trying to cook a football-sized virus through an entire football field-sized hole. Do you think that's going to stop the virus? If there was the virus, your mask is utterly and completely worthless. You are an idiot. It will not help you. If you want to have a mask that stops the virus, you need the N95 masks. Those are the only ones that have a 95% chance of stopping the virus. I'm not recommending them because you clearly do not fucking need them. But if there were an actual viral thing that might be going around, you might want to actually get a mask that actually works on viruses. Jesus, man, I can't believe I have to spell this stuff out. I know nobody watches my videos, and I know nobody cares about facts anymore, but I'm just frustrated by this idiocy, and I got to make a video just for my own therapeutic, to help me feel better. Because, it's so discouraging just watching people act the fool. Everybody's calling me a murderer because I don't have a mask. I go to Target, every fucking person there is wearing a damn mask. They're telling me I'm a murderer. I guarantee I'm the only one who's looked at any of the damn stats on this. I'm the only one who knew how hilariously idiotic every one of those fucking dipshits were, running around in a mask acting like their life's in danger. Your life's no more in danger today than it ever was any other day of your life. You're not in any more danger from a virus. You are just not. It is not a real threat. The data clearly shows, for people who actually understand how to read the meaning of words like presumed, this is an important word. This is just not thrown out. That's why I just found, what did I have open a little while ago? 8 different articles talking about how presumed involvement was part of this code. There's a reason why so many articles and so many documents are circulated talking about the difference between confirmed and presumed. It's because it's massively important. So when they just throw this into this number, and this is the only number we have to go on in the U.S. to figure out how many cases there are, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a massive obfuscation, and it's deliberate. I mean, let's be honest. It's deliberate. They could have much more clearly made sure that the test actually confirmed the cases that they reported as test confirmed. They could have easily had the 2 codes that the World Health Organization had, and they could have just used one or the other. But the problem is they were doing that at first, and this number was too fucking low. So they needed to make it look like a bigger threat because political purposes, political reasons. Because it's just political. It's a political. The whole thing is political. This isn't a health risk. This isn't a health threat. This is a political contrivance. It's a media contrivance. They're deliberately going out of their way to scare the shit out of people and freak everybody out and lie to people. And apparently not 1 in 1,000 can actually do simple basic math or look up actual facts. And the 1 in 1,000 of us who do are just frustrated to beyond. It's so discouraging. It's very disappointing. It makes me ashamed to be an American, practically. I mean, you grow up reading about all these brave heroes and stuff, fighting in the Alamo and, trying to fight for their independence and being brave and courageous and fearless, willing to overcome all the odds. And people today can't walk out of the damn house because of a 0.0000001% risk. I mean, I don't know how to spell it out any more clearly. The CDC spells it out. There's immeasurable number of documents out there spelling it out. If you want to see the facts, look for the damn data. Look for the best data you can find. This is the best data I can find in the U.S. It's not great. It's not 100% because they deliberately conflated different causes all into one code. And so we don't know. But this is the best that we have, and this is the best that we can go off of, and it says that this is statistically insignificant. Less than 7,000 cases so far total since this began of actual causes of death from COVID-19. So wake up, people. Wake up. Stop being a pansy. Stop being a coward. Stop wearing a mask. You don't need it. Not only that, I'm just talking about facts today, but there's been a ton of articles talking about how healthy people do not need the masks. Healthy people do not need them. I'm going to mention one other thing. I don't have the articles in front of me, but they've been talking about people who are supposedly asymptomatic carriers. I've talked about this before. This is one of the other things that perhaps some people, I doubt it, but perhaps some people are considering a big threat because, oh my God, you could be an asymptomatic carrier running out there symptom-free and infecting other people. But it's come out, many experts have pointed out, this does not exist. Not only have some experts said it's rare, but because of the way they test, I've covered this before, because of the way they test with the PCR test. That just tests for any tiny little insignificant amount of the genetic material that supposedly comprises the virus in your bloodstream or in your sample tissue, whatever they sample. It can be insignificantly tiny to the point where it doesn't cause symptoms and cannot spread. The problem with many viruses, probably most, I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but when you have a virus and it's infected your body, your immune system detects it. It's all common knowledge. This is not disputable. Your immune system detects it, it fights it, it detects it, it builds antibodies toward it that will go and destroy it and keep it at levels so minuscule that they can't impair you. And often the virus will still linger around in your system at these insignificant levels that cannot cause you any harm. But it doesn't get completely eliminated. It just basically is so minimal that not only does it not cause symptoms, not only does it not cause you to cough, it doesn't cause infections in other people. You cannot spread it. You've been cured. You are now immune. You have antibodies. This is what supposedly vaccines are to create, is to create this immunity through this artificial intervention. But it mimics the same thing that your body would normally do if it actually got the real infection from the real virus. You get the virus, it develops antibodies. The part of vaccines is they inject you with this material that fools the immune system into thinking, oh, this is a threat. I'll create antibodies to defend off of against it. And that way, whenever the actual virus comes along, your body already has antibodies. That's the logic of how vaccines are supposed to work. And so if you actually got the virus itself and built antibodies, you are already immune. You do not need a vaccine. You cannot spread it. You are safe. You are part of the herd immunity effect that they always talk about, where when a certain number of people are already immune from either vaccines, supposedly, or from just getting infected, then there's not enough people out there for the virus to infect for it to actually freely circulate, because it can't get any ground. And so it doesn't spread. This is what's called herd immunity. This was well known. This has been something that's been used to justify forced vaccinations for decades. But all of a sudden, when it comes to COVID-19, everybody acts like it doesn't exist. Well, why the hell was it being used to advocate forced vaccines before? And since this began in March, they did tests in California, and they did tests in the military, and they did tests in the UK, and they found numbers of 40% plus already had antibodies to this. And in the military, they found 80% in some cases already had antibodies to this. So what do you think that means? That means herd immunity. It already cannot spread. And the other thing that it means is that it was already spreading beforehand. Whatever this is, it's obviously not new, is what that means. It's not freaking new, or 40% plus or 80% wouldn't already have antibodies to it. So that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about how even by the official numbers show that this is a joke, and you should not be terrified, and you should not be shutting down your businesses. You shouldn't be canceling, school events. You shouldn't be canceling weddings. You shouldn't be canceling going and visiting your elderly, grandparents and letting them see their new grandbaby and stuff like that. Some of the stuff I've seen, it's just infuriating. People going on their first dates with masks and pool noodles between them because they're so terrified of getting anywhere near them. What kind of relationship are you going to have when you have a pool noodle separating you? What's the point? I mean, get real, man. This is sad. It's very sad. And it's got to stop. We're giving up our whole way of life. We're giving up what it means to be human on the chance of a 0.0000001% chance of death. I mean, fight for your life, man. Fight for your rights. Fight for your way of life. Jesus, man. People just make me sick. I feel like I'm the only one in this world anymore that's got any damn sense or appreciation for reality. And it's a real shame. So, I don't know. I'm going to do my part. I'll put up yet another video that no one will probably ever watch or no one will ever care about. But at least when, a year later, nobody's wearing their stupid masks because the media stopped trying to scare everybody and everybody forgot all about this. And I'm going to just, point to videos like this and said, yeah, I knew it was a joke when you were still wearing a mask. Here it is. You're a joke then, and you're going to be a joke the next time some new, media contrived bullshit tries to fool you, which it's already doing. I mean, it's already doing it on the next contrivance. Oh yeah, that's another thing I didn't even talk about, is that apparently COVID-19 is so smart of a virus that it can tell whether you're protesting for politically correct reasons or not. And if you are, then it will just totally bypass you. So if you're trying to have a wedding or you're trying to go and hang out with your friends, you better keep your groups down to, like 6 people or less, because, the scary virus will get you. It's after you people. But if you're protesting, groups of 100, groups of 200, tearing down statues, burning things down, that's totally safe, perfectly fine. Just go nuts. The virus will totally skip you. I mean, that's just insulting. It's insulting how stupid they think people are. And apparently they're right, because people really are that stupid. They'll believe 2 completely contradictory lies at the same time when both can't be true. Both could be false, but they can't both be true. And yet, they ran them both, and people believe it. So, I don't know. What am I supposed to do, just going to be frustrated, make my little videos, and say I told you so when the rest of you fucking dipshits pull your heads out of your asses. And try and forget that all of you cowards are, Americans the same as me. Jesus Christ. Have a good one. See you next time.